Sure, I'm ready. Are you ready?
Yep.
Okay. Levels.
Levels. Hey, did you see the interview with the that world leader on 60 Minutes this last weekend?
I did. We were in the kitchen. We watched it. Yes, I thought it was really impressive.
I know, right? I mean, to see how he's leading and like inspiring everyone.
Uh, yep, I absolutely agree. To rise to the moment at such a pivotal time in history, just it's simply amazing.
I mean, if this works out, they're going to build a statue of him.
Well, there's no way he can fail. He's already succeeding. So I think this is going to work out. And there are going to be statues everywhere. In fact, I think there probably are already statues everywhere.
Well, I thought it was really smart of him to do the interview right before addressing the United Nations.
Wait, hold on. The United Nations. Prime addressed the United Nations? I mean, I suppose that makes sense. And what can't that guy do? Did he do it in the same day? Did he both coach a football game, and address the United Nations later that day? Because he's known for that.
What can he do? Well, for one, tackle. But
Oh,
wait, what are you talking about? Prime.
Deion, Deion Sanders was on 60 Minutes this weekend. It was an amazing interview. Wasn't that what we were talking about?
No, I was talking about Zelensky, the leader of Ukraine. He was the opening interview on the show.
Oh, I missed that part. Yeah, I guess he's okay. But come on, Prime is amazing.
Okay. Zelensky is literally trying to defeat Russia. How can that compare to anything that Dion is doing?
He did beat Nebraska.
They gave me my theme music.
Hi, toddlers. Welcome to Talking to Todd, a weekly podcast with Dwayne Johnson and Todd Prinz, where failure is always an option. Thanks for joining us. Hey, Todd.
Hey, how's it going?
Did you forget your line?
No, our internet connection is terrible and you're freezing. So I'm just kind of occasionally just throwing stuff out. I'm hoping I'm keeping up with where we are in the rundown.
So we've got satellite delay tonight. Nice.
Yes. This is going to be disjointed.
Oh, this is going to be fun. That's fantastic. Okay, so we're saving every 3 minutes. Fantastic. We'll be right back after these messages. Not from Todd's internet service provider.
Yeah. It's, you know what? It's fine. You know what? I'm sure the lightning that's happening around the house right now, all that's going to do is add more energy. It'll make the internet go faster. That's what the lightning does, right?
Is there a way for you to capture the lightning and add it to your battery bank, Ben?
Oh, there's an interesting idea. Let's see. I'm going to need an extension cord and a really long metal pole. And Lisa's going to want to film that. Yeah. Well, Lisa's going to want to film that for YouTube because, what's going to go poor, it'll also go viral. And the worse it goes, the more viral it goes. Watch this idiot. Watch this. Look at this. He thought he could charge. Oh, that's my favorite part. Look at that. Look at that smoke. Yeah. He must have gone at least 100 feet in the air. Look at that.
Now watch him shake.
and then of course everybody's like, yeah, I've seen better on Jackass. How are we doing for feedback, follow-up, and updates?
Clean show from toddler number. Well, that's not true. I've got something under follow-up, but I didn't have any particular feedback from toddler number 1. How about Lisa?
Okay. Nope, nothing here.
Nothing there. We got a note from Jesse and the Legal Eagles.
Yes.
He had to fly somewhere. actually on Delta, I'm guessing, because he flew to Minneapolis, but I could be wrong. But the airline attendant said, "We may experience rough air," instead of what he normally hears referred to as turbulence. Todd,
Yes.
airplane expert.
Eh.
What? Okay. What is rough air? To be fair, his ride did experience a ton of rough air. Do we have thoughts about why they're now saying rough air instead of turbulence? Are they the same thing?
I am sure that if I look up on the source of all truth and knowledge, there's probably some sort of some very specific definition of the word turbulence versus the colloquial rough air, or it's the other possibility. I'm just so they might be one and the same. The other possibility is that at some point during the flight, they were assuming that they were going to go past some young teenagers wearing leather jackets and smoking, and we got to be careful because that's going to be some rough air over there. Hard to tell which one could have happened.
We're serving tacos in first class. There's going to be some rough air coming out of first class.
Yeah. Yep.
We just want to warn you guys back in coach.
Woo. Yeah.
Oh boy, do not come up here. That is some rough air.
Yes, it is.
I tried to do a little bit of research on the internet. The internet thinks that the announcements now say rough air because there was a focus group that decided that people are too stupid to understand that turbulence won't bring down a plane, but rough air makes people feel better.
Well, I mean, okay, all right.
The worst kind of turbulence, sure, I suppose, could bring down a plane, but odds are it's not going to.
Yeah, I mean, I do
bumpy.
think what you will hear people talk about, like, oh, we're turbulence or whatever, and one of the ways that people try to explain to people who are uncomfortable in that is, I mean, you're at 30,000 feet, but what you really need to think about is the plane. If you're in a boat can be floating on the surface, and you can see that the water goes up and down, and the boat goes with it, and that well, that can also cause motion sickness. You don't feel like, unless the waves are super high, like in choppy waves, you don't think the boat's going to sink. You're in rough seas.
Right.
So the thing is that the exact same thing is happening in the air, but because you can't see it, you're afraid that you're just going to, plummet out of the sky.
Yep.
So instead of saying turbulence, if you say it's rough air
Yes.
is similar to rough seas.
Yes. And a 15-foot drop in an airplane when you're flying along and then it immediately drops 15 feet feels like a mile.
You do notice it.
Yes.
You do. Yeah.
But it's only 15 feet. It's not that big a deal when you're 35,000
you got 30,000 feet to work
exactly.
with. Right?
You got
plenty to work with.
Yep. The margin of error up there. Yes.
Yeah.
Anyway, so
although I mean, it's entirely possible. Maybe there's going to be a cold open that just warns everybody. In this show, this is going to be a rough show. Turbulence? Sure, whatever.
I guess that's what we're talking about.
Say that.
Yeah.
Yeah. By the way, I also got some feedback from Jesse, and I'm gonna take his feedback. I'm gonna expand on it. He has noted your concern with the new title.
Yes.
And that you're not as enthralled with the new title as you were as being a very senior fellow. So Jesse did let me know. I'm going to tell you his part, but then I'm going to add on to it. Here's what you get to do, Dwayne.
Do I get to write a white paper?
No.
Oh.
This is even easier. Do you know how universities have like endowed chairs? You get to be the, whatever corporate sponsor, professor on the mountaintop, whatever.
Yes, I believe football coaches have the same kind of deal. Yes.
Yeah. You can pick any title you want. However, there had better be some sponsorship opportunities because that title needs to be endowed through the Institute. And as we know, there's a funding crisis right now. So if you would like to endow whatever title you want, and by the way, the bigger the title, the bigger the endowment, that's something you can work out with the policy center.
Wouldn't be the first time I've been told I was well endowed.
Oh God. I thought we were this close to getting through that whole bit. We were so close. And yet
here we are.
Well, you know what? Since that was childish humor, what's from Doug?
for I believe I said, for two straight guys in their 50s, we spend a lot of time talking about drag queens. Doug says, my sentiments exactly. The only knowledge about drag queen television shows I possess have come from you two. You're welcome.
I was going to say that's what, because we're professionals, that is one of the highest compliments we have got.
It's one of the only compliments we have got. But okay. We'll take it.
We'll take it. You know what, Doug? Thank you. Thank you so much. What I also heard was he would like to hear more.
More drag queen content coming up. We'll just
from Doug, specifically for Doug.
Just for Doug. We'll maybe we'll tuck that into follow-up.
I see what you did there. That was pretty good. That one I'm going to give you. You can ring a bell for that one.
Thank you. I won't be able to ring a bell later. I can pretty much guarantee.
Yeah. Well, at least we're working. So yes. Let's see. What do we have for follow-up?
The Ferentz counter. That would be
yes.
Counting his points, not Brian working at the soda fountain, because that's probably what he's going to be doing next year. He'll be working the Ferentz counter. Yeah. Just step right up. Yeah. You want your pork chops? You want your, You know
what the problem is? Here's going to be the problem with that, though. That you can't do that, because they're going to say, "Oh, and by the way, here's your meal. To get your fries, go over to the Ferentz counter, and Brian will dish them up for you. And then you're going to get your basket, and you're going to look at it, and you're going to go, oh, I thought there would be more. It doesn't seem like a lot of fries.
It doesn't. I really expected there to be more. I'm paying for more.
Yeah. I'm paying a lot for this. And quite frankly, all the rest of the stands on this street give a lot more fries. But all right, well, whatever.
Anyway, this week they scored 41 points, putting him 1 point ahead of his average.
Look at that.
They're now at 240. He is ahead of schedule, but they're playing Penn State this week, so I expect things to be back to normal.
Oh, no. I read an article in Sports Illustrated. I don't expect things to be back to normal. I expect things to be much, much worse than normal, because I think Penn State gives up like 11. So they're good. By the way, in that same article, the Sports Illustrated person pointed out, and I wasn't aware of this, that 325,
yes,
that according to this article, at least in Sports Illustrated, I haven't independently I haven't had, fact checking or whatever. I'm hoping Sports Illustrated did. That 325 number is the total number of points scored by the Hawkeyes, not by the Hawkeyes offense.
Yes.
He gets credit.
Yep. If the defense scores, yes.
If the defense scores, if special teams scores, if anybody not affiliated with the offense scores, that contributes to the offensive coordinator's total.
Yes. Punting is winning.
Ironclad contract. Yes.
Yep.
Jeez.
Yep. Yeah. I knew that when they signed it last year. Yeah. Yeah.
You know what? It's good to have your dad as the head coach. I just says Lance Stroll every F1 weekend. Sorry. Anyway, go ahead.
I know you thought we were done with this story, but Luis Rubiales is in the news again.
Yeah.
The ex-Spanish soccer boss was handed a restraining order last week. He must stay at least 200 yards away from World Cup star Junior Hermoso, who he kissed. So
Yeah. Well, okay. One more follow up then. If he has
Yes.
to stay 200 yards away from her, the good news is that means he can attend the next women's soccer match, because all the women said that they weren't going to play, and the national team called up many of them, but they didn't call her up. So, according to the Spanish Football Federation, it was to protect her. And her comment was, protect me from what? You said that there's no problems. So what are you possibly protecting me from? If everything is fine and nothing needs to be fixed with the team, you're protecting me from being on the team, but there's nothing to protect me from, but you're not letting me on the team because you're protecting me, which got me to the Spanish Football Federation is just, you know what they are? They're Jack Nicholson on the stand, and she is Tom Cruise. Did you say he was in danger?
Who's going to protect you? You, Lieutenant Weinberg?
You said that they were in danger, grave danger. Is there any other kind of danger?
You need me to read back the record?
You told them that he will not be touched. People follow your orders. So then why did he have to leave if you gave the order? Seriously, they need to watch that because anyway, wow.
It's your nightly Aaron Sorkin reference. It won't be the last tonight.
Jeez. Man.
The other item that I had actually was suggested. Was suggested by Amy when we were talking about the size of airports.
Yes.
She says, okay, well, which one is the busiest or has the most flights or whatever? So, for the record,
yes,
Atlanta is the busiest for both flights and people. In 2022, it was 75 million passengers and 724,145 total movements. That's planes moved in and out.
Yeah, I was going to say, that's a lot of fiber. Anyway, sorry.
O'Hare has the most runways with 8, though. O'Hare has more runways. Atlanta still does more business.
Yeah. Denver has 8 runways as well. So, yes.
And Denver is the
biggest by area. Oh.
In the United States.
Yes.
It's the second biggest airport in the world. Denver International Airport is also home to the longest public use runway in North America with a length of 16,000 feet. But the largest airport in the world, do you know what this is?
Well, it's not in Monaco. No, I don't.
This airport actually may be larger than Monaco. King Fahd Airport in Dammam, Saudi Arabia, is nearly 300 square miles and is the largest airport in the world.
Okay, when you say it's 300 square miles, I mean, they're not using all of it as an air. I mean, that there's a, yeah, okay, sure. That, however you measure it, right? I think Denver's I think Denver's like 54 square miles or something. Like, to put that on like 300 square miles versus like 54 square miles is number 2.
Yeah, you know, if you want a record for something, you just mark out the boundary and call it what it is. Whatever.
Yeah. By the way, I had a piece of follow-up from...
Did you?
Yeah.
Sorry, I've just totally been dominating this conversation. Sorry. What do you have?
Well, so 2 weeks ago, I did a piece of follow-up that said that UK encryption law that was going to require backdoor encryption on iMessage and WhatsApp and everything. I said that it was pulled from the bill, and so it didn't become law, so there was no problem with it. That's what everybody on my tech podcast talked about. But what actually happened, everybody was like, hey, look at that, we did that. What actually happened, everybody celebrated. This is significantly worse, and I don't think everybody in the tech world understands how politics works. What actually happened was it was left in the bill became law, and then the government announced that they weren't going to enforce that portion of the law until it became technically feasible, because right now it isn't technically feasible to put end-to-end encryption and put a backdoor in that is safe. So the government simply announced, yes, it's law, but don't worry, we won't enforce it until it becomes technically feasible. And everybody in the tech world went, yay, we won. And I said, I don't think you understand how this works. This is now law in the UK, and the current government simply said, don't worry, we won't enforce it. There is nothing that stops them from tomorrow announcing, just kidding, it's now being enforced, or a new government comes in, or after some kind of incident happens of some kind, immediately the government will say, this is on the books and we couldn't stop it because of this, so we're now going to start in. So this whole thing that I said, don't worry about it, it's all cool. Oh, no. This is actually terrible and much worse, because now it's just hanging over everybody's head from between now and whenever they want to make the law happen. So anyway, I got it wrong, and so did the UK.
Oof.
Yeah. I mean, that's cool. I mean, there's, laws that are on the books from the 30s and 40s aren't now all of a sudden starting to be enforced around this country, right? It's all fine. Anyway, speaking of technology, though, there is something that there's something in Todd's Tech Corner presented by Taylor Center for Technology Policy, where you too can get your own chair if you're willing to pay some money. But I didn't put this in here. What's in Todd's Tech Corner this week?
First, can I get a chair that doesn't squeak? As long as I'm endowing a chair, I would like one that doesn't squeak, because the one I'm sitting on now squeaks all the time.
The answer to all of your questions is money. Sometimes Nazis, but I'm pretty sure the squeaky chair, that is a problem that money can solve. There you go, Danny.
So this hit my feed this week and overlooked. I mean, everybody's talking about how the new cameras on the iPhone 15s and how we're going away from the Lightning and into the USB-C, and the new computers that are coming out and all of this stuff. But there was just a little tiny, kind of almost a throwaway, for $19.
Yes.
You'll be able to buy Apple EarPods that will have a USB-C connector on the end of them.
Yes.
That you can plug into your phone. And technically, they're better headphones than the AirPod Air Max the wireless super duper ones, because the USB-C ones are lossless. They will actually provide better sound than the absolute top of the line. Better is a relative term. It will definitely be lossless. It's not noise canceling, but It is lossless.
Okay. What I will say is a better signal will go into the earphones. That is true, because it supports lossless music. By the way, two guys in their 50s talking about this doesn't matter, because our ears could. No,
doesn't matter. Yeah.
A lot of people can't tell the difference between lossless and lossy, whatever. And So that, yes, do you spend $19 and get these little wired buds, or do you spend $550 and get the ones that don't support it?
Yes.
I will quibble. Yes, the lossless music will go into those tiny little earbuds, but once it goes through that 1/4-inch diameter, you're going to lose all of the, everything that you didn't lose in the cable is going to be completely lost in coming out of
the crappy little speaker that's sitting in your ear. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, that's kind of like, oh, you know what? I can put gasoline from NASCAR in my 1974 F-150. Yes, it's very good fuel, but that's not going to be your limiting factor at that point.
Okay, that's fair. Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
Anyway, I thought that was an overlooked item. That it was going. They're going to roll back out so that you don't have to use you also don't have to use a dongle.
True. Yes. If you're still using the
If you're
which
still
by the way,
using it.
last I knew, well, because everybody said why is Apple even producing all of this? The last I knew, France had passed a law that said that a hands-free headset had to come with every phone. So when you buy, at least again, this was last year, I think, you got the phone and then they basically just duct taped to the box a pair of the earbuds
Oh,
and just said, here's your phone. Like they just like, here you go, just take it because whatever. So
we're compliant. Check the box.
anyway, yeah.
Oh, so
Although now that you say that, now that we talked about it, I'm just wondering if I could buy a pair of those for $19 and a pair of the AirPod Maxes for $550 and do a test and let you know whether or not, like, I should probably do a study and see. I could write all of that off because it's for the show.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
particularly maybe you could get the Taylor Center to buy them for you, and you could write a white paper.
Yes.
What you need is to write a grant, funnel it through the Taylor Center, who will then buy your earphones for you, and then you write a white paper, and everybody's good. That's what you need to do. I'm telling you, problem solved.
I will say, Dwayne, thank you for finding this because you're right. I did overlook this, and we almost lost this topic. But similar to the $19 earbuds, we are a lossless podcast, and you made sure that we didn't lose that. That didn't work. Nope, that was bad.
Would you like to try that again? Nope.
Not really. Nope.
What's in the show is in the show.
Woo. No, you know what? I think a second run into it would actually make it worse. So,
well, you want to try something else?
Yeah, let's see what we got.
That's right. That sound means it's time for America's favorite game. Dwayne, guess a number. Okay, hit me.
Okay. Dwayne, I think early in the podcast, we even talked about this in what we're watching. In 2018, HGTV bought the house that was the exterior for the Brady Bunch home. And I believe in 2020, 2021, so during the first part of the pandemic, they had the Property Brothers and some other designers and the cast of the Brady Bunch, and the Property Brothers renovated the house. Remind again, what we saw on TV on the inside was all built on a set.
Right. Yes.
This was just the exterior, and they gutted the house. They completely gutted it and built basically they turned the house so that the inside of the house looked exactly like the set. Now, by the way, the set had a lot more room than the house. So they not only did they have to gut the whole house, they had to build a 2-story extension into the backyard to have enough room for the additional bedrooms. And I think the den, like all of that had to be built. So they had to, foundation and built this whole thing. Did you happen to watch that show when they redid the house?
I remember it happening. I don't know that I ever saw the show, but I remember being aware that was going to happen, and particularly remember Marsha being okay with them taking up more of the backyard because then that's less space for her to get hit in the face with a football. So,
Yeah, I'm good with that. That's fine.
Yeah.
Lisa and I watched it, and I said, I'm sure we talked about it on the show, so that would have happened after March of 2020. Anyway, it's a pretty good show. It was entertaining. It was amazing how they made the house look just like the house from the TV show. Anyway, So in 2018, HGTV paid $3.5 million for this house in a suburb of Los Angeles. Then they did that entire renovation and made it look just like the Brady Bunch house. They added a 2-story. They did all of it. HGTV sold that house this month. Dwayne, how much did the fully renovated, now actual Brady Bunch house sell for?
Less than 3.1 million. I think it went down in value from what they paid for it because of what they did.
Okay.
Do I have to guess a number? Is that
Hold on.
okay?
Let me give you, okay, before you lock it in,
Okay.
let me tell you that they listed it, because of all the upgrades, they listed it for 5.5 million. So 2018 they bought it for 3.5 and they listed it for 5.5.
I'm still going with they got 2.6 out of it. Am I wrong?
This game is starting to become no fun because now you understand the conceit of it. You were close. When you said below 3.1, they sold it for 3.2 million.
Oh. Okay, so
they bought it for 3.5, shot an entire TV show, potentially poured at least more than $1 million into this whole thing, and then turned around and took 2.3 million under listing.
Oops.
And lost 300,000. Lost 300,000 on the original purchase price. In this market, they bought property in 2018 and in this market lost money.
Wow. Nice work, guys. Hopefully they made more than $300,000 worth of advertising off of it.
I'm assuming they're fine because, really, I mean, this loss, you know what it is.
Oh, you can write it off.
You just write it off.
Yeah.
On the other hand, I will say for a channel that made its entire, like, all it is how to value houses and how to flip houses and how to buy houses, change them and make more money. Like, that's what HGTV is. That and couples fake fighting over houses because one wants to live in the city and one wants to live on a deserted island. Besides that, everything else is 100% renovations, and they're the ones that are telling you how to do it. And apparently HGTV doesn't know how to do renovations and house flipping. Oops. Solid work, Monty. You know what, though? You figured it out. It was under, your original one was, you said under 3.1. That's close to 3.2. I'm feeling generous. Give yourself another bell.
Wow. Thanks.
Yeah. Now I'm going to have to go back to start asking questions that, like, okay, so now you think that it has to be under because I'm asking you about it. So now I have to know that that's what you think I'm thinking. Now I know that you think that. So now I'm going to have to start bringing numbers that go the other way so that you can't think what I'm thinking.
Never go up against a Sicilian when death is on the line.
I'm just sitting here thinking, I can't believe people think that this segment ought to end. Anyway.
I can clearly not choose the glass in front of me.
All right, what else we
got? The Scott Frost Memorial Idiot of the Week. After Nebraska lost last week to Colorado, let's go back to Scott Frost. I have ramped myself back up to 3 stories. You can choose one of these and we'll talk about it. Story number 1, we have a winner. Story number 2, Beetlejuice is a great show. And story number 3, Bear Raid.
I think I know what 3 is. I'm groping here, but I think I know what number 2 is.
Solid work. Oh.
So we'll go with number 1. We have a winner.
Oh, that's too funny. Groping here. This is Dateline Cleveland.
Hello.
Thank you. Jan winner.
By the way, is it Yawn? I think it's Yawn.
Oh, is it Jan?
Yawn.
Because
I
it
think it's Yawn
reads
Venner.
Jan with two N's.
We're going to get feedback on this. Absolutely. So
Good.
You do what you want to do. Yes.
Okay, Jan winner. Yawn Winner, the co-founder of Rolling Stone magazine, has been removed from the board of the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame Foundation, which he helped found, one day after an interview with him was published in the New York Times. Do you know what he said in this interview, Todd?
He said a lot, none of which was cleared with his publicist.
In the interview, the Times asked him why the book included no women or people of color. It was a book called The Masters that he just got done publishing, which collects his decades of interviews with rock legends like Bob Dylan, Mick Jagger, John Lennon, Bruce Springsteen, all of them white, all of them male. Why does the book include no women or people of color? And Winner said, just none of them were as articulate enough on this intellectual level. And Joni Mitchell is not a philosopher of rock and roll. It took the foundation all of 24 hours to dismiss him from his post. Here's the thing. I don't care enough about this guy to get his name right. So if anybody wants to provide feedback, they're more than welcome to. I'm not even going to call him Mr. Winner. He's really what he is Mr. Loser. So Mr. Loser is my idiot of the week.
I'm gonna say yes and.
Okay.
So he wrote a book, and all of the interviews were white guys from rock and roll with no women and no people of color at all. I will say someone on his team, I'm not saying he needed to include anybody in the book. It's his book. He includes who he wants to include. Somebody on his team needed to know that and know that this was going to be a question. And he needed to have a better answer than the women and the people of color are inarticulate. That is not... Now, if that is the one that his team came up with, because the rest of the answers they came up with were terrible, which, by the way, in defense of his team, you and I have sat down with people and said, here's a question that might be coming your way from the media. And then we've heard what their answer is. And we have given the advice of, we should probably work on that. Yes, so it's not.
Let's workshop that a bit.
It's my turn. Okay.
Except, let's not do that. Yeah.
If they didn't, his people aren't helping him, because that's why you have people. If this is the best they could do, maybe it's not their fault. Maybe they were like, listen, this is the good answer, because what he said the first 10 times was so much worse.
Far be it from any of us to defend what's his ass. How about you? I'm not even going to say his name anymore. How about you? What did you bring over here?
So there's been lots of, we've talked about how Iowa State and Iowa have had some players and former players suspended and charged with gambling on sports, gambling on college football. The NFL has had multiple people suspended for both betting on the NFL and also using the team sponsors to place bets on other sports while in their off hours. But anyway, whatever. Betting on sports is a problem across the country, across the world. The FA, so the English Football Association, has also have to deal with this. Brentford's leading striker, Ivan Toney, has been suspended for 8 months at the end of last season, and for the part of the start of this season, he placed a lot of bets, and he bet on English Premier League games. So yes, he has to go away for a while.
Yep.
The Athletic came out with a story, however, that said a football manager who gambled nearly a million pounds, including betting on English football, went before the FA, the Football Association, and he got placed on probation and is still coaching his team. Now, a couple of interesting things. Number one, in the article, he's referred to as Manager A. His real name, while the reporters know it, cannot be used by British law. He had 8 betting accounts. He admitted to being a gambling addict. And the reason why this all came out is he claims that 2 former footballers tried to blackmail him, and that went to court. Well, because now he is listed as part of a legal proceeding where he is the victim. See, this is why he can't be named. If the FA named him, then that would be basically naming the person who is a victim in a crime, and therefore they can't name him. So anyway, they listened to all of this and decided not to take any action. They gave him a warning, and basically the FA has deliberately kept even the warning away from the media. So anyway, so if you're a player and you bet on football, you're going to be suspended for 8 months, which is essentially an entire season. If you're an NFL player and you get caught betting on football, you're suspended for an entire season. If you're a manager in England and you get caught betting on football, you get a stern warning of don't do that again. And for God's sakes, don't tell anybody we had this conversation. And you wonder why players sometimes think that the system's rigged against them.
This sounds like double secret probation.
Yes. Yeah. I don't. I mean, at some point, it's like you hold the players to a certain level, and in theory, yes, you're holding any players who were 16 to 30 years old to a set of, and then managers and everybody else who actually can out. The manager can also affect the outcome of a match, maybe even more than a player, because a player doesn't always get selected, but the manager kind of decides
who's going to play.
What? Yeah. Anyway, so that's cool. Anyway, you have no idea if you're watching English football, there is a manager who is managing right now who was betting on football and who is told, but don't do it again, but won't be suspended. So good job, FA. I'm sure that will make sure that all the rest of the managers in English football are going like, wait, so I get one get out of jail free card? Just one?
Use it wisely.
You know what that means? Don't play small bets. Go big.
Go big or go home.
Yes. Yeah. But you don't have to go home. If the FA catches you, they're going to be like, go big or go right back to work.
The people that say go big or go home vastly underestimate the extent to which I want to just go home. Oh, really? That was an option? Oh, okay. I'll go home. Oh, you watch anything good?
Yeah. Well, so last night we watched episode 1 of a 4-episode run. I think this one we might even watch episode 2, I'm thinking.
Okay.
There is a documentary on Apple TV Plus, on Apple TV, called Supermodels. And so it is bringing back together the sort of the 4 big supermodels and then doing a retrospective of their careers. And so episode 1 was them growing up, them being discovered, what early modeling or what early stuff looked like. And so by the way, you've got Cindy Crawford, Christy Turlington, Linda Evangelista, and Naomi Campbell. And
The
It's very interesting,
OG.
even if you're not. Yeah. Yeah. So like, oh yeah, there you go. Right. Like,
Yep.
as Lisa pointed out, a lot of people are called supermodels right now. That is nothing compared to what they were
At
in
that
sort of,
point. Yep.
yeah. Just a couple things about it. Again, this was the early years, so they were talking about all of this stuff. The casualness in which 14 to 17-year-old girls were put on planes by themselves and flown around the world for photo shoots makes you a bit uncomfortable. And there are multiple things we're talking about the photo shoots where actually at one point, one of the photographers who did the first Naomi Campbell one in the United States, he pointed out, he's as he's telling, he's like, yeah, we flew her to this and we shot this on a former slave plantation, and there were 6 white people and then this and then this black teenager dressed up, and he's like, yeah. That was 30 years ago. That was yeah. You could just see the look on his face like, oh, I can't believe I did that.
Wow.
Anyway,
Did not age well.
There's a lot of that. And again, this is more, I mean, there's a lot, and this is talking about all sorts of stuff. But there was part of it I just said, it's like, yeah, this kind of reminds you that, again, things that were fine 30 years ago that nobody thought of, we might look at differently today, which is a good reminder to all of us that, like, 30 years from now, the stuff that we think is okay may not be okay 100 years from now. Anyway, it was just like there were multiples of those, of including like, yeah, so she was 17 and by herself in Japan, but yeah, I'm sure that was fine. Anyway, very, very interesting. How about you? What are you watching?
Well, I finished The Newsroom.
Okay.
Again. Season 3 is only 6 episodes, so it doesn't take very long to rip through season 3. It's still really good. 26 episodes. It's, again, I said it last week, it's worth your time. It really is.
Wait, how many episodes?
26.
For the entire run?
Yeah. 10, 10, 6.
West Wing, a single season was 22 episodes.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
No wonder why people like going to HBO. You know what? I can shoot this thing. I can get in. I can get out. 22 episodes for 7 years. This is not great.
Well, but they're each an hour long, and they're actually an hour long. And then
not 44 minutes.
Not 44 minutes. And then you stick around after the credits, and they've got these interviews mostly with Sorkin about, what did you think about this, or how did this come together, or, a little history of behind the scenes for the show, which is also kind of interesting, particularly if you like it.
That's different, because when you said after the credits, I just assumed that all of a sudden Hawkeye or Thor or somebody was.
Yes, there's a post-credit scene on The Newsroom
to set up MCU 5.
Right, where Iron Man comes storming in and complains about interest rates with Sloan Sabbath. Right, yes, that's what happened. And then on Netflix, we watched the Johnny Manziel, Johnny Football doc.
Yes. Oh, yeah.
Wow. I'm not giving anything away here. At one point, his agent talked to the general manager of the Browns, and the general manager of the Browns said, "We have a problem here because he has watched 0.0 hours of viewing time on his iPad that he's supposed to be watching to learn the playbook."
Yeah. And I saw something that he readily admits that he didn't watch any film at all his entire NFL career.
Nope. Yep.
That's not a path to success in the NFL.
Nope. He got paid. Fantastic college player. But he didn't read a playbook in college either, or in high school. He just went out and made it happen. Whatever.
Yeah.
When it became a job, he got less interested in it.
Yes. Not about the being paid. The being paid was great.
Oh, he's all over that.
The work for the being paid.
Yeah. Yep. It's an hour, one shot. I want to watch the Florida Gators thing next. It just popped up. There's another hour on the Florida Gators and Tim Tebow that's apparently pretty good too. So I'll report back next week. You want to do an awkward pause? Oh,
you were handling that just fine on your own. So
was I? Oh, okay.
Insert smooth transition here.
Oh, is that what that said? Oh, you wrote that in the insert smooth transition. Oh, yeah. I totally flubbed that. Huh. How about that?
Yeah.
Did you learn anything?
Reacts.
Yeah. Dwayne reacts poorly. Sorry. Dwayne reacts poorly is what that is. Kind of wrote myself into a corner there and didn't know how to get out of it. Did you learn anything this week?
I did. There was a story on ESPN that said, so it starts off with saying, for decades, NFL wide receivers said that they look better when they wear low numbers compared to the traditional 80 through 89, right? Yeah. They wanted to wear single digits because it makes them look faster, which sounds stupid. However, UCLA researchers have done a peer-reviewed study that actually found out that there are associations in the brain are made between the numbers people are wearing and what people assume the size of the person wearing the number is. So in one of the studies, they exposed subjects to images of different football jersey numbers, just the football jersey numbers, to measure their perception of the person wearing that. The smaller the number, the more likely the subject was to perceive a slimmer player. Said the researcher, we were surprised that there's a connection, and even more so surprised that the connection is so robust. It's not just when we contrast large numbers with small ones. When we look at the relationship between the ratings of size and slenderness and the numbers, we did a very small range, like from 17 to 19, and they still see a robust correlation. So they think that the player wearing 17 is slimmer than the player wearing 19. Yeah. I have no, other than, I will say this, the one part I have read about this is, yes, on the other hand, if you got people who watch the NFL very much, and you said these are football numbers, because before the NFL changed, if you show me football numbers, I was thinking through, I have almost that exact same correlation, except if you show me a number in the 80s, I would say, the 80s, but they're much slimmer than the 90s and the 70s.
Yes.
So I'm not sure, like when they say peer review, like I'm not sure if this is actual perception or if this is decades of the NFL's rules that have just gone into our brain, or does it even matter at this point? Anyway, it turns out that, a lot of NBA players don't want to wear black shoes because they think it makes them look slow. And wide receivers want to wear small numbers because they think it makes them look faster. And at least it's possible that the second one is true. Now, one last thing. Did we spend all of this time trying to figure out how to give them less concussions? No, we did not.
No.
We spent the time figuring out if people perceive smaller numbers to be smaller than bigger numbers. I hope that got a federal grant. Anyway, that's what I learned.
I learned two things. Both of them are short. Number one, I learned do not Google Nick Chubb's knee. Under no circumstances.
I did, but I only got through part 1 because part 2 was separate from part 1, and I couldn't find where part 2 was.
You're not wrong there. Holy cow. And then The other thing that I learned, this stat, again, just quick hitters for what I learned this week. This hit my feed this week. Greg Maddux, Hall of Fame pitcher, right? In his career, he started 740 games, right?
Okay.
In 236 of those, he didn't allow a walk. Think about that for a second.
I mean, that's pretty good control.
That's Greg Maddux.
What I will say, and Greg Maddux started off as a Cub. He was on the route to being like the Cubs' greatest pitcher of all time, and then he went to Atlanta and had success, and then came back near the end. So he's still kind of a Cub, even though he got his ring with Atlanta. So yes, he was high on my list of, this is our guy, right? This is the guy who's going to get us there. What I will say, however, especially when he was with Atlanta, I would watch multiple games, and he would hit a player. He would hit a player, and then you could see him protest to the umpire that his control was just off, and the ball got away from him.
You're Greg Maddux.
No, he had to do that, because if he admitted he hit him, then they would have to suspend him.
Right.
So he had to play the game. He had to say, I guess I just wasn't that good at throwing the pitches, from the guy who didn't walk anybody in over 200 games. Uh-huh. Sure.
Uh-huh.
Sure, Greg. I'm with you.
The music is Happy Boy by Kevin MacLeod. You can subscribe to our award-winning podcast wherever you get your pods. Just search Talkin' and the number 2. No G, no space. You can stop by and see us at the Tuba City home office. Please don't do that. Thanks to our listeners and our sponsors, Toddler 3187, the Taylor Center for Technology Policy, and DJ to Go Cedar Valley, a DJ in the Cedar Valley. As always,
did the check not clear?
As always, send your feedback. Send us your feedback to feedback@talkingtotodd.com. Todd?
You said that you spent an hour watching the Johnny Manziel documentary, which means you spent more time watching film around Johnny Manziel's career than Johnny Manziel spent watching in his entire career. Good job. Here's your guaranteed contract.
Oh, nice. We'll be back next week. Nice work.
Try that one again?
I would like to try that one again.
Make another run at that?
Sure, I do. Yeah.
Sure, give it a shot.
Sure, why not? Yeah. Because God knows Nick Chubb's not. We'll clean something up next week. We'll be back. We're here. We're talking to Todd.
We should feel free to take an extra shot at something and see if it works out better. You said we should have that kind of freedom. You said with great freedom comes with great responsibility, and I don't know that we're up to it. I'm just gonna be honest.
Hey, you know what? If I'm editing, I can make myself look great. I don't have that kind of skill, but I could. If I had something great to work with to begin with. It's hard to make chicken soup out of chicken poop.
Really, what Dwayne does is he takes the audio file and he just chips away everything that's not the podcast.